Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the House Judiciary Committee. My name is Gale Harvey, and I'm a member of the Rhode Island chapter of National Organization for Women. I serve as a volunteer lobbyist on the Legislative Committee. We are a membership-based advocacy organization with over 500 members and supporters throughout the state. We partner with several coalitions like the Rhode Island Coalition for Reproductive Freedom, the Coalition Against Gun Violence, and the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. This year, I've testified in front of this committee, I think 4 or 5 times, and I've shared my personal story. But this year I felt, in line with what Representative Knight said, this is a legal issue. It's not important what my personal history is. It's important that we understand this is a legal issue. So I'm here today to support Bill 7340, the Reproductive Health Care Act. Our organization believes that women have the right to participate in all aspects of public and private life without any barriers based on gender. As a member of the Legislative Committee, I have testified on many bills for many issues, both social and economic, that affect women and their families. We believe our state should provide a safe and hospitable place for women and families to live and work. And this is predicated on the protection of women's rights, including the right to reproductive freedom, the right to choose. Reproductive justice and economic justice are essential for Rhode Island families to live and grow. Why do women choose to have abortions? According to the Guttmacher Institute, a leading research and policy institute, 74% say it is because it would interfere with their education, their work, or their ability to care for a dependent. Another 73% say they could not afford to have a baby at that time. And 47% said they were not ready to be a mother or were having relationship problems, which could signal that they were in an abusive relationship. These reasons are clearly tied to economic and safety issues. Where there is no access to abortion or such care is severely limited, hardships fall on not just women, but on entire families, and by extension, communities. Unwanted pregnancies may lead to a need for public assistance. When the right to choose is curtailed, those with economic means will find a way to obtain an abortion, but those without cannot. Some organizations who oppose a woman's right to choose remain conspicuously silent on what happens to a woman's life economically after the birth of the baby. New York Representative Louise made a pithy comment about this. She said, "We love it until it is born, and then it is someone else's problem." In somewhat the same vein, Sister Joan Chittister said on a Bill Moyer's PBS program, "I do not believe that just because you're opposed to abortion, that makes you pro-life. In fact, I think in many cases, your morality is deeply lacking if all you want is a child born, but not a child fed, not a child educated, and not a child housed." Personally, in the 5 years I've been testifying for Rhode Island now, I have never seen or heard anyone from some of these organizations attend or testify at any hearings on bills for paid sick leave, paid sick days, increasing the minimum wage, the Fair Pay Act, equality in health care costs for women, or any bills supporting affordable child care. These bills are designed to help single women, single moms, and working families for a better quality of life for them and their children. Should we assume, as Representative Slaughter suggested, that their only interest lies in the fetus and not the child itself? The practice of abortion will never be eliminated. It never has been, and it never will be. Rhode Island women, though, should never again be forced to choose dangerous and unsafe practices. We deserve better than back alleys. Roe v. Wade ensured that women of future generations would never have to suffer what my 19-year-old college roommate did in a seedy motel room in Kansas City in 1965. She was butchered by an unlicensed practitioner and was never able to have children. She had no choice then, but for over 43 years, women in America have. Our elected representatives should ensure that women have the right and moral authority to make decisions for their own reproductive health. No one, not the state, not a governing body, not public officials, have the right to make this decision for them. For me, for my daughters, for my granddaughters, or for my great-granddaughter. The right to control one's own reproductive functions is so important to women's economic equality and their ability to support themselves and their families. For the past several years, I have come before this committee to lobby for the passage of reproductive health care, and each year the bills have been held for further study, which is a euphemism for the graveyard where even slightly controversial bills can be sent to die. But this year is different due to real changes from the administration in Washington. We have a president, a vice president, and leaders in the House and Senate whose views on women's reproductive rights spell disaster as they target access to birth control and appoint judges who favor banning abortion. We are one Supreme Court justice away from having our reproductive rights overturned. In your role as legislators, I urge you to consider what Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, a Catholic, has said on this issue. I don't think my job as a public official is to make everybody else follow the Catholic Church's teaching, whatever their religious background or lack of religious background. We are better off as a society when we are not trying to enforce the views of one religion over everybody. People can make their own moral decisions. The time is now. Please bring the bill to the floor for a vote. Thank you.